Hello Millwall fans, Paul Eiffel here. It's time for Chat with Chaps.
Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back to another episode of Chat with Chaps. This is an opposition view. We get insight from the opposition, and in this case today, of course, it is looking ahead to Saturday's fixture at the Den. We welcome Middlesbrough to the Den, and that means on this show, we welcome Dana from the Boro Breakdown Podcast. Dana, how you doing?
I'm doing brilliant. That was a fantastic intro, by the way. Love that.
What, the video?
Yeah.
All right,
I love that a lot. Yeah, I'm feeling like a Boyd now after that little jingle.
Good. Nice. Well, we can thank. I'm sure he's listening, Jeff, for that. So much appreciated for putting that together for us, Jeff. It's Jeff. You'll be singing that, Dana, I'm afraid, tonight.
Yeah, probably. Wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's the plan. But let's jump straight in, because I'm sure last night you weren't singing. You were probably spitting feathers and fuming. 4-0 home to Doncaster's second team. What happened?
Oh, yeah, that is the question. And I have absolutely no idea. It was such a disjointed performance. Like, I don't know, our team was so porous last night. It was actually painful to watch. And to be fair, I think in the end we were pretty lucky that it wasn't more, because they did hit the post at one point. I mean, we got knocked out in the first round last season against Stoke. We got tonked 5-0 in that game, which was equally as painful. But I actually think last night was worse, because Stoke are a championship team and Doncaster are obviously a good team. They got promoted from League Two. They were the champions of League Two last season, but losing to them, having such a disjointed performance, being so poor, creating chances from open play and looking so weak at the back, it was, very alarming. And I would say, if not red flags, then certainly beige.
Well, I mean, we'll obviously be looking to exploit that on Saturday, because the other thing as well that struck me was, you keep me honest here, I think you kept 6 of your starting lineup from the victory over Swansea within the team, including your front three, right? Of is it Bergsorg, Silvestre, and your central striker, obviously Tommy Conway. So yeah, it's just really odd to see. What was Rob Edwards' take after the game?
He was pretty damning in it. He said it was unacceptable, and it wasn't a good display. I said our press was non-existent, which is really quite worrying, because when I think of Rob Edwards, I think of that kind of high energy out of possession. The fact that Boro tripping over that immediately 2 games into the season is very alarming indeed. So yeah, he kind of potted around the stadium afterwards looking very frustrated with his team's performance. And I mean, to be honest, I don't think there's a single positive that you can really pick from that game. Like, individually, performances were incredibly poor. As a team, as I said, the word disjointed comes to mind straight off the bat. And yeah, usually I look for positives, certainly this season anyway. I'm trying to look for positives, as well as maybe I'm more critical, more pessimistic about Boro, but I genuinely can't think of a single positive from that game. And I think Rob Edwards was much the same in his reflection after the match.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing to give you an olive branch and give you a positive, I guess, from an outsider's point of view, would be it can't get much worse. And if your team aren't up for it on Saturday, there's a lot of talk amongst the Millwall fans, whereas you've got half a Millwall fans that are more confident than ever this season, and we'll touch on that. And then the other half are like, that's the worst thing that could have happened, Boro being beaten 4-0 at home, because they'll be right up for it on Saturday. So I guess that's if you're looking for glimpses of positivity, that could be it.
I think I mentioned that Stoke game just then. We did respond to that with a win in the following game, which was quite rare last season. Whenever we took a step back, we really struggled to kind of get ourselves back in a good bout of momentum again. So yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's kind of what you want, isn't it? When your football team loses, it doesn't matter what the result is, you want to see a reaction. So it's a big test of that Middlesbrough team and Rob Edwards as well, because not a lot of Boro fans actually wanted him in the first place. So I feel like he's kind of I don't know if he's immediately up against it. He's been speaking really well in the press, and I think he's got fans on side through his words. But yeah, that was not a good second game of the season, especially after what was, a good win at the weekend against Swansea. It's just a thud back down to earth after a little bit of renewed optimism from that Swansea match.
Well, let's touch on both of the points you made there. Let's start with the Swansea game, and then we'll go back on kind of bigger picture, how Rob Edwards come in and what's kind of going on at the club. So you beat Swansea 1-0. I think I'm correct in saying that Paul Merson described it as one of the dullest football matches that he's seen. Is that was that typical Merce?
I don't blame him for saying that, to be honest. I mean, I would say we were leaning more towards being pragmatic, but I didn't enjoy the match. I'll be so honest. I tried to kind of dilute my thoughts on our podcast because our season preview was so critical that people were like, "Oh, you're being so negative." But that game was not the type of football match that I like. I value entertainment. I know football is a results-based business essentially, but I like to be entertained by my football team. And yeah, that one was poor because we didn't create anything from open play. I think I looked at our XG and it was 0.15, which is just pittance, really. It's nothing off kind of memory. It was a Morgan Whittaker shot that hit the crossbar. It's genuinely the only thing that I remember from that match from open play. So although I think we were better defensively, I kind of take from that, especially off the back of the game last night, was that actually more Middlesbrough being solid, or was that more Swansea being toothless? Because I think both sides lacked quality, certainly in possession. Out of possession, as I mentioned. I think the next few games will show whether that result and that performance was actually Boro being solid, or whether it was the opposition just being a little bit pap in front of goal.
Yeah, it's super interesting because we played both yourselves and Swansea at the Den towards the latter part of the season, and I think we beat you both 1-0. But again, speaking candid, I felt Swansea looked more of a threat than you guys did. I thought Swansea, they had Ronaldo on the right. I forget the tricky winger on the left. They seemed to have a little bit about them, and they were kind of unlucky to come away. So when I saw the result for you guys, I was like, okay, well, Middlesbrough started well. And everyone I speak to about Rob Edwards, it really divides opinion. Some people go, yeah, great manager. Obviously got Luton promoted, such a likable guy. And then other people beyond the marketing speak and the way you can get fans on side, there's not much depth to him. So where do you sit, and just sort of your overall thoughts on what's going on at your club at the moment?
Yeah, with Edwards, I think weirdly, and I don't know if this is fair or not, but I feel like the jury's out on him, because there's a lot of people that they don't know if they can definitively say that he's a good manager. Some will say that, well, he just took Nathan Jones's Luton side and continued what he did, come in mid-season and kind of continued their ascent. So I think there's definitely that opinion. There's also the opinion that, well, he's suffered back-to-back relegations. Obviously, granted, he didn't spend the whole season with Luton last campaign, but I think he did a lot of the damage, or a lot of the damage was done under his tenure. So there's a lot of narratives surrounding Rob Edwards that indicate to me that a lot of football people are a little bit undecided on whether he's a good manager or not. I mean, when he joined us, I was kind of very indifferent. I sat on the fence. I kind of thought, okay, this is an appointment that doesn't really excite me, but I don't feel like managerial appointments should excite me. It's really how the team respond to it and how they play under him. And so that obviously we've still got a lot to see there and a lot to know about this Middlesbrough side. But yeah, a lot of fans didn't want him. A lot of fans wanted Danny Roll when he was trying to leave Sheffield Wednesday in whichever way that he could. And so he wasn't, I think he was, we did a poll on our podcast Twitter account, and Rob Edwards was actually the least voted of the candidates that Boro fans wanted. So yeah, he was kind of the last person that Boro fans wanted out of the kind of candidates that we had. So yeah, I think there's a sense that this is a really important appointment for Middlesbrough. A lot of people view it as, well, Kieran Scott, our director of football, has just appointed his mate, because they worked together at Wolves before. So there's some pretty difficult narratives forming, and if Boro don't perform well under Rob Edwards, then they'll certainly get louder. And I mean, my bold prediction on our podcast is that Rob Edwards won't last the season, because as good as it is, him traveling around the stadium, giving it the fist pump to the south stand and saying all the right things. Words are empty if the performances on the pitch aren't good enough.
Yeah, and I won't lie, it's not for me. It's
It's not for
Millwall
me
fans are not sort of. I'm not saying Boro fans are, by the way. Millwall fans are not sort of fist pump type people.
Yeah,
but I think, it does feel already that the jury's out on Rob Edwards, which is to some degrees a little bit unfair, given one competitive fixture. And I also think as well, from an outsider looking in, you could do with a few more players, right? And would love your opinion on this. I mean, I look at your squad and I look at the fees you received for Lati Lat, Isaiah Jones, obviously the lad that we paid 5 million for, Josh Coburn. That's naming 3, right? And I know you spent a bit on Tommy Conway, but it feels like you haven't invested that just yet. So we'd just love to get your take on why is that, and why is what's going on with Kieran Scott? Why is it that we're waiting 3 weeks before the transfer window go? I mean, I'm probably saying all these things. You're like, Chris, I know this is what I'm annoyed about, but yeah, just love to get your take on that. And maybe you can then lean into what you think you still need from a player perspective.
Yeah, it's been a really frustrating summer because I think the business that we have done is decent. Alfie Jones is a good enough championship centre-half. I think he's kind of proven it over the years, being part of the furniture in this division. Pretty solid, all things considered. Young Abdullah Kante came in, a bit of an unknown talent. He's tenacious, but he's young. He's first time out of France and different country, different league, different team. It's going to be an adjustment season for him, I think. Callum Britton, billed as one of the best right wing backs in the league. I like him as well. He just needs, because he hasn't had a pre-season with us, so it's very like, how long does it take him to get up to speed? This is a frustrating thing. Like, we've just signed a winger or a forward, Sonja Hansen from the Eredivisie. Now, just a bit of context, Boro have been burned badly by players from the Eredivisie. We spent £12 million on Afonso Alves in 2007, I think it was. Yeah, regarded as a flop. I personally don't think that we gave him the service, but I mean, when you're paying £12 million for a player, you expect something at least.
Did he have like a weird stat where didn't he score a lot of goals in one game, or have I completely made that up?
I think he did, yeah. He did. He played for Heerenveen, and I think it certainly wasn't with us that he scored loads of goals in one game, but yeah, it was beforehand. I think he scored quite a few in one match, but yeah, we've been burnt by players from the Eredivisie, so yeah, he might need an adjustment period as well. But it's more the players that we haven't brought in. Like, we need a left wing back, we need a centre midfielder for me. We need another striker to compete with Tommy Conway. And potentially, Rav van den Berg has just left us today. So we could potentially need another centre-half. I personally also think we need a goalkeeper. So there's a lot of gaps in that squad that need fill-in. And yeah, we signed Alfie Jones, which was signing number 1 of the season, with 15 days before the first game. So like, we've done our business really late. It's been really slow, really frustrating. And I still think that we are quite underprepared for the season. So that's like, it's just massively frustrating. And I would say discouraging as well. It's definitely shaped a lot of my opinion in the build up to the first game of the season, and probably beyond that as well. We just need so much, and we need to get it done pretty quickly because the transfer window is coming to a close pretty soon.
Yeah, and this is what happens, right? You create these prediction leagues based on where people's business is right up to the first game of the season. All of a sudden, teams will go out and sign 5-6 players, and you kind of got to readjust, right? So it's I mean, I hope for your sake that and personally I won't mind because we'd have played you already on Saturday, but I hope you do get some of those players in that you need. And like you said, another 10 million plus, I think, for Rav van den Berg that you're getting, which is a good bit of business given what you paid for him. So yeah, a lot going on at the Borough at the minute. And I think that kind of leads me into my next question in terms of where you had yourselves to finish. I'll let you talk about that, and where you had us to finish. So would love to hear that from you, and then that can kind of lead into your thoughts on where Millwall are heading this season.
Yeah, I had us 12th, just slap bang in the middle of the division. Actually, funnily enough, where we started before a ball was kicked, we were 12th. So, consistency, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's going to be a slog of a season for us. That passover between Michael Carrick's style of play and Rob Edwards, what he wants, and also the players that he has to do it with, I think it's going to be pretty difficult a transition, I would say. And I just look at our squad and I don't think we've got the quality. I really don't. I'm really surprised that Boro fans have kind of looked at our squad and thought that it's good, because for me, I just don't think it is. We know the Championship is a really physically demanding division, Saturday, Tuesday, most weeks, and you need a full squad to be able to compete in the higher echelons of this division. And if you don't have that, you will falter. I just see so many teams that are just better placed than us this season, so I don't foresee us having a particularly positive campaign. The kind of positive that I cling on to is that we can't be this underprepared forever. Like, there will be a point where we just get ourselves together in the transfer window, we sign the players that we need, and we go from there. But I'm also just not sure. I'm not like confident that we will get the right business done. I have a feeling and a fear that we're probably going to be catching up in January and doing the business in the winter window that we should have done in the summer. So yeah, I'm pretty down on our chances. We regressed under Michael Carrick last season. New manager brought in this summer, and I feel like it'll be a transition season, which is not what Boro fans want at all, but I feel like it's what we're going to get. And as for Millwall, I looked at you guys, and I think that you will be up in, aiming towards the playoffs. I actually had it between you and Birmingham for 6th spot. I went with Birmingham in the end, but it was pretty close. I think it was just their financial might that might just take them through maybe in January, where they need some reinforcements. But I'm pretty big on Millwall, all things considered. I think you'll have a really good season, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if in the end you do end up in the top 6. So I think it's going to be a pretty good season for you guys. And you've got a manager that, I know it was 10 years ago, and I know it was against Middlesbrough, so I hate to mention this, but Alex Neil has been promoted in the past. So
he has.
Yeah, you've got a manager that has the experience of that, so it might stand you in good stead.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiments on both clubs, to be totally honest. I think your first 11's not bad, but I think beyond that,
Yeah,
I don't think you have much depth, and I think that's your challenge. For us, I've got us in around the top 6. I think we've got a bit of a head start on most teams because we've got consistency from a lot of players that were last year. I heard a stat that there's only one manager that was in place in their current team in the Championship at the start of last season that there is this season, which blows my mind. So the fact that we've had Alex Neil in place for 7-8 months gives us a head start on most of the division, right? So I think some of those factors, and we're not cash rich, but we're not short of cash. I think if we need to invest more, we certainly can. So let's talk a bit about Saturday then. So you come to the Den, obviously last season, I think it was a narrow, tight 1-0 game, obviously very different circumstances. Who are your players that we should be looking out for? And within that, maybe talk to us about how you did manage to keep hold of Hayden Hackney.
I mean, that one, I don't know if we will keep him. I hope that we do. I know that he was the subject of a bid from Ipswich. He turned that move down, which I think is a good decision. So he would have sold himself a little bit short going there, club in the same division when he could reach the Premier League this summer, kind of immediately. On the game on Saturday and who to look out for, I honestly have no idea. I would say Tommy Conway, but he's basically not been in the game the first 2 games of the season. Incredibly isolated against Swansea, incredibly isolated against Doncaster. The front 3 is so disconnected at the moment. The blend of player profile is not. It's not the one. Whittaker, Bergzorg behind him, they want the ball to feet. They're not going to run him behind. And when they do with Bergzorg, the guy's constantly offside. He can't finish. He's not the type of player that you kind of expect to finish his chances. He's very unreliable in front of goal. Whittaker, 18 games, 0 goals. Registered assistant at the weekend, so that's something, I suppose. But we're kind of bypassing the midfield as well. So I honestly do not know who to say to look out for. I think there's a lot of issues with this Middlesbrough team from certainly that game yesterday, but also a little bit of the opening win against Swansea, where I can't really say who is the one to look out for. I'd probably say Hayden Hackley, just for his ball carrying ability. If he gets on the ball, you could kind of get Boro forward that way. But in terms of a team collective, we're so disjointed at the moment, and we're kind of going through it a little bit in that transition period, that a lot of the threats that we had last season are a little bit extinguished at the moment. I would say they haven't quite yet entered the force. So yeah, I'll probably put Hayden Hackney down. But yeah, it's a difficult question to answer that, which is a bit sad, because if it was under Michael Carrick last season, I probably would have ticked off quite a few names there of players to be wary of.
I mean, just really quickly then, do you think it was right that he left?
I think it was, because we did regress, and towards the end of the season, we did look like a side that needed a bit of a refreshment. And I think that, as we see with football, we're football people, don't we? We consume the sport, if you will. You see it always kind of ends up with a managerial change more often than not. And we looked kind of a little bit lost under him. What was pretty effective in the first season and a half became very ineffective. And I don't know, I kind of get the sense that Boro actually wanted to keep Michael Carrick, but he had his brother on the coaching staff. And really? I feel like I feel like that was maybe a sticking point. I reckon Boro wanted to change the coaching team around him, but obviously, you've got to stay loyal to your family, I suppose. So I kind of feel like I don't know if I'm completely off target with that, but I've kind of heard a few things that maybe that could be a correct assumption. But yeah, I think it was right to let him go in the end, but we'll see. I have a feeling I'll miss his football at some point this season. But yeah, I think he probably had to go. It was the right decision in the end.
Well, we'll see where he pops up next, because he was linked and rumoured with all sorts whilst he was with you. One player that we borrowed from you last season, and he was injured for a fair bit, but certainly made a bit of an impact towards the latter part of the season, so much so that we spent anything up to 5 million. I don't know, there's all sorts of different rumours and things, but let's just go with up to 5 million, was on young Josh Coburn. I was really excited when we took him from you, and I still am, the fact we've got him. I think 5 million's a little bit toppy, but tell us your thoughts on Josh Coburn, and whether you think, again, it was right for him to look for pastures new.
Yeah, I think it was. He was kind of on the periphery of things under Michael Carrick, and I kind of guess, based on the timing, that it was maybe already a little bit down the line before Michael Carrick was sacked or moved on. But I think it probably was for the better of his career. He hadn't really established himself in the Middlesbrough team as a regular starter, and he's kind of at the age now where he deserves to have regular football and a starting berth at another club and kind of have that home. I like Coburn when he came in. I was really quite keen on him from his time in the youth teams. And, you're always looking at youth teams to see which is the next player that's going to come up and be a part of the first team. And he was. And he played against Sheffield Wednesday in the lockdown season and scored. I think this was the back end of that 2020-21 campaign when we had Neil Warnock, and a little bubble of hype kind of appeared around him. But he never really quite... I don't know, it never really worked out for him at Middlesbrough. As I said, he was always on the periphery. He was never that regular starter. And I feel like he just needed a fresh start, really. He's a good finisher, Coburn. He really is. But I think there was, certainly at Boro, maybe parts of his all-round game that needed to be improved upon. And I feel like it's absolutely inevitable that he's going to score on the weekend. It's just written in the stars, but... We'll see. I do like him. I think he'll have a good season, and we'll kind of see how it goes for him. Hopefully, he doesn't score at the weekend. Our YouTube comments will be full of, "Why did we get rid of Coburn?"
Well, I mean, he'll certainly be up for it. That's for sure. We'll see what happens there. But I think it felt like a good move for all parties. To be honest, you got a nice sum out of it. He got a new home and a fresh start, and we got the striker that we wanted. Just before we come on to my final question, which of course is the score prediction, we also took AJ Matthews from you, who was a real young youth player. He actually made his debut last night away at Newport just coming on as a sub for 15, 20 minutes. Do you know much about him or anything as to why maybe he was not let go, but we were able to take him from you?
I feel like what I heard was that he wanted more of a first team place than what Boro were going to give him. I mean, I don't know how well. I mean, to be fair, as you said there, he's come off the bench in the cup. I don't know. I feel like he probably wanted to try to break into the first team somewhere, and Boro just weren't kind of giving him that opportunity. But yeah, I think Chelsea were interested in him at one point. There was some like kind of top European clubs that were taking a sniff, if you're to believe Fabrizio Romano. So yeah, that was one where he probably just wanted a better chance of breaking into the first team, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think he's in and around it, but I don't see him starting for us anytime soon. So we'll just have to see how that one develops. Okay, so all of that, positivity you've given us, Dana. This is where you predict a 1-0 Middlesbrough win, right, or something crazy. What's your thoughts on the score on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm actually going down the middle. I'll say 2-2. Actually, no, I'll say 1-1. I can't see us scoring 2. We'll probably score from a corner and then and offer absolutely nothing in open play. But yeah, we've got some decent fixtures coming up. You guys, Norwich and then Sheffield United. We've got a really tough run, but I feel like we will register something from those games, and you'll make it difficult for us. Absolutely no doubt about that. But I think we'll maybe just sneak in there and get a draw, get a point.
Okay, well, we shall see what unfolds on Saturday. Thank you so much, Dana, for coming on and giving us your point of view. If you don't mind, just share with the Millwall fans how they can find out more about you and also your podcast.
Yeah, I'll just speak about the podcast because it's pretty much 80% of me. But we will record our post Millwall episode on Sunday. So we drop an episode every Sunday, and you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you kind of stream audio, we're probably there. And yeah, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky as well. We're kind of all over the social media platforms.
Well, thank you very much. And we're Millwall fans. We're trying to learn because the Boro Breakdown is an exceptional podcast. So Dana and team over there are doing very good work. So yes, we'll link to all of those. We'll link to all of those opportunities to connect with the Boro Breakdown in the links below. And nothing more for me to say, Dana, than thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And look forward to connecting later on in the season when we're both in the top 6. Here's hoping. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Everything we do on this podcast goes to Cancer Research UK. So whether you're a Millwall fan or a Middlesbrough fan, you're contributing to a good cause. Thanks again for listening. See you Saturday. And of course, as always, bye for now.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.